You guys remember the note that I had posted on the YouTube channel a few days back about how I had come down with the flu? It caused me to miss making a recap video for the game against the Oilers in Edmonton. That was the first recap video that I had missed all season. And then I got better for about a day and a half, and that was when I was able to do the game against the Kraken in Seattle. Well, now this flu bug has hit its second wave with me. I don't know if you can tell by looking at me through the camera, through the screen here, but I am sicker than a dog right now. I do have a voice this time around, obviously. As you can see, I am talking, but I do have a pretty bad fever right now. So I am going to try and do the best that I can with this video. I'm gonna pop one of these right here. These are strepsils. I don't know if you guys have those down in the States, but they are awesome. So yeah, just gonna pop one of those into my mouth and power through here. I am going to power through just like Charlie Lindgren powered through this shootout victory over the, you see what I mean? Fever. I can't even remember who we just played against. Over the Detroit Red Wings, right? In Detroit. I'm going to try and power through just like Charlie Lindgren just powered through this shootout victory. He was injured at the end of overtime. He guts it out, grabs the shootout win for the Caps. So Caps win, baby, 4-3. In a shootout, like I said, over the Red Wings in Detroit. And the Caps, they picked a hell of a time to grab their first shootout victory of this season. They were previously 0-5 coming in. And I say that they picked a hell of a time because this was a big victory, a huge victory. They really, really, really needed these 2 points. Let's get into it, babes. So, first period, right? So many things happening here. The Caps came out hard, fast, physical. The captain, Alex Ovechkin, setting the tone with several huge hits early. Then, 6 minutes and 27 seconds in, Nic Dowd has a huge shift here. He lays a couple of massive body checks in a row here, back to back. Nails the first defender there, and then he circles back around and gets the next guy as well with an even bigger hit. So just a great shift, great forecheck by him, and ultimately it turns into a goal for him as he gets a puck in the slot and rips it past John Gibson. Caps up 1-0. And that was the type of vintage Nic Dowd shift that we have not seen much of this season. The Caps are going to need to see a lot more of that if they hope to make the playoffs here. And yeah, a great goal here for the Caps early after, like I said, a great heavy shift here by really this entire line, right? And it is Connor McMichael on the primary assist here and Jacob Chychrun on the secondary assist on Nic Dowd's goal. Puts the Caps up, like I said, 1-0, 6 minutes and 27 seconds in. And that is how the first period would end, just the one goal being scored, just 1-0 for the Washington Capitals at the end of 20 minutes. But don't let the score fool you. This was a pretty eventful period here as the Red Wings, right? They had 2 power plays in the first period. The Caps had none. The Washington Capitals, though, they are able to kill off both of these Red Wings power plays here in the first period using a bunch of massive shot blocks here by several players on the Caps. Everybody was bought in here. Everyone was selling out, putting their body on the line. Massive shot block after massive shot block after massive shot block here. Charlie Lindgren as well was good in net, very solid in place of the injured Logan Thompson, who was hit with a pretty hard shot off of the mask in the previous game. And now he is considered day-to-day with an upper body injury. So Logan Thompson out. That's huge news. That's terrible news for the Washington Capitals. So backup goaltender Charlie Lindgren was in this one. And yeah, that will end up being pretty important here by the end of this game. We will talk about the goaltending situation right now for the Washington Capitals because Charlie Lindgren, as I alluded to off the top, he did get injured in this one as well. So not a great situation in net right now for the Washington Capitals with both of their number 1 and number 2 netminders, it would appear, out with injury. We will see what the situation is here with Charlie Lindgren. We will see if he actually has to miss any time or not. But yeah, this didn't look great for Charlie Lindgren at the end of this game. Like I said, we'll get to that, the overtime, the shootout, all of that. But it didn't look good for him as he had to be helped off of the ice, carried off of the ice pretty much by his teammates after the shootout ended. But back to the first period here. So yeah, it was a very well played, well executed first period by the Washington Capitals here on the road in Detroit. The Caps, they outshot the Red Wings 7-3 in the first period. That is in spite of the fact, like I said, that the Red Wings did have the only 2 power plays in this period. The Red Wings did appear to have a goal at one point on one of those power plays, but it was taken off of the board there after a coach's challenge as it was clearly offside. So Caps up 1-0 at the end of one. Second period, it is another power play for the Detroit Red Wings here early. So the power plays at this point are 3-0 in favor of the Wings, even though the shots on goal are 10-5 in favor of the Caps. And yeah, 2 of these first 3 calls against the Caps were honestly pretty brutal. You can't argue, obviously, with the first one as John Carlson, he just literally shoots the puck right over the glass with no one pressuring him. So that came about a minute into the game. Not sure what John Carlson's thinking there, but the Caps thankfully were able to kill that one off. Just a silly penalty there taken by John Carlson. Like I said, no one pressuring him. But the next 2, right, like Trevor Van Riemsdyk gets called when he is the one clearly being tripped. You can clearly see that on the replay. I don't even know what they were looking at there, honestly, because like there was nothing there that would even make you think even a little bit that Trevor Van Riemsdyk was guilty of anything there. Like the Red Wings players, there was 2 of them there. Neither of them fall down at all. It's Trevor Van Riemsdyk, literally, who gets tripped, and then he is the one who gets called for the trip. So not sure what the referees were thinking there, not sure what they saw there. And then Charlie Lindgren as well, right? Gets tagged with a penalty here. Again, not sure of this call here at all. Charlie Lindgren is in his crease. He is in his own real estate there. You just don't see that being called. So 2 of the first 3 calls against the Caps were pretty crap. It did seem, to be honest, it really did seem with the Red Wings getting the first 3 power plays of this game, even though, like I said, the shots on goal at that point were 10-5 in favor of the Caps. The Caps were controlling the play at 5-on-5, which obviously normally leads to more power plays for you if you were controlling the play at 5-on-5. Yeah, the Red Wings getting the first 3 power plays of this game. It really did seem like the referees just really wanted to be in the building here when Patrick Kane was set to set the record for most points by an American player. And you know what? The referees, they get their wish here because after another great penalty kill by the Washington Capitals, several more great shot blocks there on that PK, the Red Wings, they get a goal here at even strength after that penalty is killed off. Ben Sherratt with the goal, and Patrick Kane, he gets the secondary assist on this goal, and so he becomes the highest scoring American player of all time. So 1-1, and that is how the second period would end. Third period, offensive zone faceoff for the Caps. They win it. Dylan Strome wins it back to Jakob Chychrun. Jakob Chychrun with the shot on net. Alex Ovechkin, right, parked in front of the net. Massive net front presence there by Alex Ovechkin, battling in front of the net. He wins this space in front of the net. He wins this puck, gets the rebound. John Gibson attempts to cover it, but it gets poked loose. More on that in just a second because the Red Wings did challenge this goal. But Dylan Strome digs it out, takes it around the net on the wraparound and tucks it in. Caps up 2-1. And yeah, the Red Wings, they would challenge this goal here for goaltender interference. They felt that this puck might have been poked loose by a Capitals player from underneath of John Gibson's glove, but you could pretty clearly see, honestly, on the replay, it did appear that John Gibson just kind of accidentally swept this thing out himself, like let go of it himself, and Dylan Strome just picks it up and takes it around the net. And so the goal stands, the challenge is no good. The goal stands for Washington. Like I said, 2-1 Caps. Alex Ovechkin on the primary assist and Jakob Chychrun on the secondary assist on Dylan Strome's 15th goal of the season. Then a few minutes after that, Dylan Strome. So the Caps here are pressuring again, right? Again, heavy offensive zone pressure here by the Washington Capitals. They keep winning puck battles here, right? That is the key. They keep causing turnovers, getting the puck back. And yeah, it's just a great shift here again by the Washington Capitals in the third period here now. So Dylan Strome, right, he takes the initial shot. That one gets blocked. The puck is picked up then by Jakob Chychrun, who whips it on net. And it looked like this puck was actually going to go wide, but it gets deflected off of Declan Chisholm. And that is Declan Chisholm's first goal in a Washington Capitals jersey, the new member of the Caps this year, the defenseman. That is his first goal as a Washington Capital here, and it is a big one here in the third period to put the Caps up 3-1. So Declan Chisholm from Jacob Chychrun and Dylan Strome. 3-1 Caps with just over 5 minutes left to play in the third period here. You would think that that would be safe, right? Wrong. And this sequence of events, this tying goal here for the Detroit Red Wings, let me tell you, this only happens to the Washington Capitals. So first, right, we are at 3-1 here, less than 2 minutes left to play. Detroit, they lift their netminder, John Gibson, for the extra attacker here. John Carlson leaves Alex DeBrincat wide open on the back door. That is a tap in for DeBrincat, and it is 3-2. So that's a goal that you don't want to give up, right? Like I said, mistake there by John Carlson on the back door. And so now the Red Wings, they are now within just a single goal with still 1 minute and 40 left to play. But while we may be able to bitch and moan about that 3-2 goal, this 3-3 goal, this tying goal here for the Detroit Red Wings, like I said, this would only happen to the Washington Capitals. And there's just nothing that anybody on the Caps can do on this play, right? Less than a minute left to play now. Alex DeBrincat, he dumps a puck in. He literally just dumps it in, rings it around the glass here. It hits the hole where the TV camera comes out of the glass, okay? Do you understand? If you didn't see the replay, you've got to go watch this one. This was crazy. This is like a once-in-a-lifetime thing here. I have never seen this before in the National Hockey League. The hole where the camera sticks out of the glass, the puck hits off of that, careens off of it perfectly, and comes back out in front and into the net past Charlie Lindgren. So Alex DeBrincat, technically with his second goal of the game here, right, on the dump in. But yeah, like I said, like there's just nothing that anybody on the Washington Capitals can do here. Maybe you can say that you would need that save from Charlie Lindgren, maybe, but like folks, like he didn't even leave his net here. He had not even left his crease to go around to block this dump in. He was still in his net. It's just a crazy, crazy, crazy bounce here. A really unfortunate play for the Washington Capitals. And yeah, it ties the game up here. Less than a minute left to play in regulation for the Detroit Red Wings. So like I said, right, we can bitch about the 3-2 goal for sure. John Carlson leaving Alex DeBrincat wide open on the back door there for the empty net tap in essentially past Charlie Lindgren. But we really can't bitch about this 3-3 tying goal here, right? There's just nothing that anybody can do on this play. Like I said, it is a once in a lifetime play. And now in this game where the Washington Capitals have played extremely well here on the road, played a perfect road game, they now find themselves going to overtime. Just a brutal turn of events here for the Caps. And I do think that most teams, with the way that this season has been going so far for the Washington Capitals, I do think that most teams would have folded here after that tying goal. The Washington Capitals did not. They come back out for overtime. They play a strong overtime period. They outshoot the Red Wings 3-1, but it remains tied at the end of OT. And so we head to a shootout. And I know what you're thinking, right? You're thinking the same thing that I was thinking here, which is that with this game going to a shootout, it's a loss, right? It's already a loss before we even take our first shootout attempt. The Caps, like I said, coming into this one, they had 0 wins in 5 shootouts so far this season. They were 0 for 5 coming into this one. So you didn't have a lot of hope, right? When you saw that this one was going to a shootout. But for the Washington Capitals, like they really need every single point in the standings right now. They really couldn't afford to not win this shootout, which is probably why Charlie Lindgren, who was injured at the end of the overtime period there, literally on the last play of overtime, he gets injured. He was clearly hurting a lot. But like I said, the Caps need every point in the standings right now. Logan Thompson was already out with injury, right? He was not available for this game here tonight. He was not on the bench. It was Hershey Bears call up Clay Stevenson, who was backing up Charlie Lindgren on the bench for this one. So with the Washington Capitals needing every single standings point here, Charlie Lindgren Even though he gets injured at the end of overtime, he opts to stay in the net here for the shootout. He did not want the kid, Clay Stevenson, to have to come in to that high pressure situation, like I said, where you don't have standings points to piss away here, right? And Clay Stevenson as well, he's a great goaltender, right? But he would have been coming in dead cold there at the end of a 65-minute game. So that is never ideal. It risks injury for Clay Stevenson as well, right? So Charlie Lindgren, he opts to stay in for this one, for the shootout. We can debate, all night long whether that was the right call or not. As we saw at the end of the shootout, Charlie Lindgren being literally carried off of the ice by his teammates. So for sure, we can debate whether this was the right call or not, but they did get the second point out of this. And yeah, Charlie Lindgren, like I said, gutting it out. So we can debate all night long whether it was the right call or not with him. Now, clearly he was pretty injured, right? He has to be helped off of the ice, carried off of the ice, like I said. You have to respect it though, right? Like from Charlie Lindgren, you have to respect the guts, the character, the will to win by this guy, gutting it out, like I said, to get the second point. And his teammates, they helped their netminder out in a shootout for once, right? They finally score some goals here in a shootout. 3 for 3 went the Washington Capitals against John Gibson. First, it is Dylan Strome. Nasty move, beats John Gibson. Then it is the rookie, Ryan Leonard. Nasty move, again, beats John Gibson. And then, this was a bit of a surprise here, Nic Dowd is who the Caps coaching staff sends out on a hunch here. As their third shooter, they had an opportunity to win it here with their third shot after the Red Wings had hit the crossbar on their third attempt. So the Caps, they have a chance to win the shootout here with their third shooter. They opt to send out Nic Dowd on a hunch. Like I said, he had scored during the game, right? He had scored during the first period, and Nic Dowd, he pulls off a nasty move here to beat John Gibson. 3 for 3. The Caps go in the shootout. They win a shootout finally at the most crucial point in the season for the Washington Capitals. Like I said, they needed these 2 points. What a time to get their first shootout win here. 4-3, the Caps win over the Red Wings in Detroit. All right, babes, that is going to be it for this one. Yeah, I've got to call it for this one. Like I said, got a pretty bad fever here. I actually feel like I'm about to pass out, so I'm going to call it a night here. Yeah, the Washington Capitals, for their part, they finish this grueling road trip here, right, in Detroit, and they are coming back home now. Finally, they will take on the Carolina Hurricanes on Saturday in Washington. Huge game, obviously. Every game pretty much from here on out is going to be huge for the Washington Capitals, trying to chase down still a playoff spot. So big game coming up on Saturday in DC. We will be back here on the YouTube channel after that one. Until then, babes, thank you all so much for watching. Really, really appreciate all of you guys. The channel has been growing recently, and that's really great to see. And it's always really great to just see the engagement as well. Like you guys are not only watching these videos, but you're dropping comments, dropping your own insights on what you guys see in these games, right? And from the team as a whole. So always love reading those. Keep those coming. Keep your comments coming. Always, always, always. I love reading those. I might not be able to get back to them all right away. Certainly not while I'm sick. I'm going to go take a nap after this one. But yeah, like I said, I always love reading them regardless whether I get a chance to respond or not. I do try to respond for sure as soon as I get a chance, but yeah, it's not always possible just because my schedule is so busy and whatnot. But I always do read every single comment, and yeah, I love reading your guys' insights and just what you guys think of the team, and how they're playing, and not just the game that we've just played, but just the season as a whole. I feel like you guys have had some really great insights just on the team and its construction as a whole as well. So yeah. Point is, keep those comments coming. Love reading them. And yeah, just thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Like I said, until next time, babes. And as always, let's go, Caps.